My daughter got pregnant at 16, and when I told her it was my fault, she said, "You're not my mother anymore." Hi everyone. Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. I found the pregnancy test in the bathroom trash. It was a Tuesday morning. I was running late for work, rushing through my usual routine, and I knocked over the small wastebasket beside the toilet. When I bent to pick up the scattered tissues and cotton swabs, I saw it. 2 pink lines. For a moment, I just stared at it, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. Then my hands started shaking. I picked it up carefully, as if it might break, as if those 2 lines might disappear if I held it gently enough. But they stayed. Solid. Unmistakable. I sat down on the edge of the bathtub, the test clutched in my hand, and tried to breathe. My daughter. My 16-year-old daughter. Pregnant. I heard her moving around in her bedroom, getting ready for school. The familiar sounds of drawers opening and closing, music playing softly. Normal sounds. Ordinary sounds. But nothing would ever be ordinary again. I stood up, my legs unsteady, and walked to her room. I did not knock. I just opened the door. She was standing in front of her mirror, putting on earrings. She turned when she heard me, and for a split second, before she saw what I was holding, she looked like the little girl she used to be. My baby. My bright, beautiful girl, who used to climb into my lap and tell me everything. Then she saw the test in my hand, and her face went white. "Mom! Is this yours?" My voice came out harsher than I intended. She did not answer. She did not have to. The look on her face told me everything. "How long have you known?" I asked. "A week." Her voice was barely a whisper. "A week? You've known for a week, and you didn't tell me." "I was going to. I didn't know how." I looked at her. This girl I had carried in my body, had raised, had tried so hard to protect, and I felt something crack inside me. Fear, anger, grief, all of it swirling together, until I could not tell one emotion from another. "How could you let this happen?" The words came out before I could stop them. Her face crumpled. "I didn't mean to." "Didn't mean to? Didn't we have talks about this? Didn't I tell you about protection, about being careful?" "Yes, but nothing, Lily. You're 16 years old. You had one job, which was to focus on school and not ruin your life." She flinched like I had hit her. "Ruin my life? What else would you call this? You're a child. You can't have a baby. You haven't even finished high school." Tears were streaming down her face now. "I know that. Don't you think I know that?" "Clearly you didn't, or we wouldn't be having this conversation." I knew I was being cruel. I knew I should stop, should hug her, should tell her we would figure this out together, but I could not. The words kept coming, fueled by fear and disappointment and something else I could not name. "Who's the father?" I demanded. "Does it matter?" "Of course it matters. Does he know?" "Not yet." "Jesus, Lily, what were you thinking?" "I don't know," she shouted, and it was the first time she had raised her voice to me in years. "I don't know what I was thinking. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear?" "Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't change the fact that your entire future is now completely derailed." She stared at me, her face red and streaked with tears. "Why are you being like this?" "Because I'm your mother. Because it's my job to care about your future. Because—" I stopped, the words catching in my throat. "Because this is my fault." "What?" "This is my fault. I should have been paying more attention. I should have known something was going on. I should have been a better mother." She shook her head, backing away from me. "Stop. It's true. I failed you. Stop it!" She was crying harder now, her whole body shaking. You don't get to do this. You don't get to make this about you and your guilt. I'm not. Yes, you are. You always do this. Everything is always about how you feel, what you think, what you want. Well, guess what? This isn't about you. This is my life, my mistake, my body. Lily! You know what the worst part is? Her voice broke. When I found out, when I saw those lines, the first thing I thought was that I needed to tell my mom, because I thought you would help me. I thought you would hold me and tell me it would be okay. But you can't even do that, can you? You can't even pretend to care about how I feel. I do care, that's why. No. You care about how this looks, about what people will think, about how this reflects on you. That's not fair. Isn't it? She wiped her face with the back of her hand. When was the last time you actually listened to me? Really listened, not just waited for your turn to give advice or tell me what I should be doing. I opened my mouth to respond, but no words came out. That's what I thought. She grabbed her backpack from her bed. I need to go to school. We're not done talking about this. Yes, we are. She pushed past me toward the door, and I grabbed her arm. Lily, please, we need to figure out what to do. She pulled away from me, and when she looked at me, her eyes were cold. Empty. You're not my mother anymore, she said quietly, and then she left. I stood in her room for a long time after she was gone, staring at nothing, those words echoing in my head. You're not my mother anymore. Eventually, I called in sick to work. I could not face anyone, could not pretend to be functional when my world had just imploded. I wandered through the house like a ghost. It felt too big, too quiet. When had it become so quiet? I ended up in the living room, staring at the photographs on the mantel. There were dozens of them. Lily as a baby, chubby and smiling. Lily on her first day of kindergarten, missing her 2 front teeth. Lily at her 10th birthday party, covered in cake frosting. In every picture, she looked happy, safe, loved. What had happened? I sat down on the couch and let myself remember. Lily had been an easy baby, sweet-tempered, quick to smile. She had been my whole world after my husband left when she was 2. Just the 2 of us against everything. We had been close back then. So close. She told me everything. We did everything together. She was my best friend. But somewhere along the way, things had changed. Maybe it started when she hit middle school and suddenly had her own friends, her own interests, her own life that did not revolve around me. I had been happy for her independence, but also, if I was honest, a little hurt, a little lost. I had tried to stay involved, maybe too involved. I volunteered at her school. I insisted on meeting all her friends. I asked about her day every evening, even when she clearly did not want to talk about it. I thought I was being a good mother, engaged, present. But maybe what I had really been was overbearing, controlling. When had we stopped talking, really talking, the way we used to? I tried to pinpoint the moment, but there was no single moment. It had been gradual, 1,000 small disconnections, conversations that went nowhere, questions answered with shrugs and one-word responses. Her door closed more often than it was open. I had told myself it was normal. Teenagers need space. They push away. It is part of growing up. But what if I had been using that as an excuse? What if, instead of giving her space, I had just stopped trying? When was the last time I had asked her about something she cared about, not something I wanted her to care about? When was the last time I had sat with her without my phone, without half my attention on work emails or grocery lists, or all the other things I told myself were important? When was the last time I had really seen her? The guilt was overwhelming. It pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. This was my fault. All of it. I called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. I texted her. No response. The hours crawled by. I tried to work, tried to distract myself, but I could not focus on anything. At 3:30, the time she would normally come home from school, I sat at the kitchen table, waiting. She did not come home. At 4, I called again. Voicemail. At 5, panic started to set in. I called her friends, the ones whose numbers I had. Most of them did not answer. The one who did, a girl named Emma, said she had not seen Lily at school. She wasn't there today? I asked. No. We thought she was sick. I hung up, my hands shaking. Where was she? I drove around the neighborhood, looking for her. The park where she used to play. The coffee shop she liked. The library. Nothing. It was getting dark when I finally pulled back into the driveway. And there, sitting on the front steps, was Lily. I got out of the car and walked toward her slowly, afraid she would run. Where have you been? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Walking. Thinking. You weren't at school. I know. I sat down beside her on the steps. We were close enough to touch, but it felt like there were miles between us. I was worried, I said. She did not respond. Lily, we need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Of course there is. We need to make a plan. We need to figure out options. Options? She laughed bitterly. You mean abortion? I mean, we need to discuss all the possibilities. You're 16. You have your whole life ahead of you. Stop saying that. Stop acting like you know what's best for me. I'm your mother. It's my job to help you make good decisions. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, you've spent the last few years making decisions for me, not with me. I opened my mouth to argue, but she kept going. Do you know why I didn't tell you about Tyler? About the fact that I was seeing someone? Tyler. So that was the father's name. Because I knew you'd disapprove. I knew you'd have 100 reasons why he wasn't good enough, or why I was too young, or why I should be focusing on school instead. Was I wrong? That's not the point. She turned to face me, and in the dim light from the porch, I could see how exhausted she looked. The point is that I couldn't talk to you. I couldn't tell you anything real because I knew you'd just lecture me or try to fix it. I was trying to protect you. From what? From living? From making my own choices? From making mistakes that would hurt you? Well, congratulations. I made the mistake anyway. And now I'm going to deal with the consequences. Alone, apparently. You don't have to do this alone. I'm here. Are you? She looked at me with those big, dark eyes that were so much like mine. Because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you're here to judge me, to be disappointed in me, to make me feel like I've ruined everything. I don't want you to feel that way. Then why did you say all those things this morning? Why did you make it sound like my life is over? I did not have a good answer, because some part of me did feel that way. Some part of me was terrified that she had thrown away all her potential, all her opportunities, for one mistake. But another part of me, the part that was starting to speak louder, knew that was not fair. Knew that one mistake, no matter how big, did not define a person. I'm scared, I admitted. I'm terrified for you. I don't want you to struggle the way I did. This got her attention. What do you mean? I hesitated. I had never told her this story, had never wanted to burden her with my past. But maybe it was time. I got pregnant when I was 19, I said quietly. With you. She stared at me. What? Your father and I. We weren't planning it. We were in college. We had plans. And then suddenly I was pregnant, and everything changed. You never told me that. I didn't want you to think you were a mistake. You weren't. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. But it was hard. Your father left when you were a baby. I dropped out of school. I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. I was exhausted and broke and terrified all the time. Mom. And I swore that I would do everything I could to make sure you had better opportunities than I did, that you wouldn't have to struggle the way I did. That's why I pushed you so hard. Why I wanted you to focus on school. Why I trailed off. Why I became someone you couldn't talk to. We sat in silence for a long moment. I'm sorry, I said finally. For this morning. For the things I said. For not listening to you. For all of it. I'm sorry too, she whispered, for not telling you, for shutting you out. What do you want to do? I asked. Not what I want. Not what anyone else wants. What do you want? She took a shaky breath. I don't know. I'm so scared, Mom. I don't know what to do. Okay, that's okay. We'll figure it out. What if I make the wrong choice? Then we'll deal with it. Together. She looked at me, and I saw the little girl she used to be, the one who trusted me to make everything okay. Can I still come to you? She asked, her voice small. Even when I mess up? Always, I said. No matter what. I'm your mother. That doesn't change. But I said, I know what you said, and maybe I deserved it. But it doesn't change the fact that I love you. Nothing could change that. She started crying, and this time I pulled her into my arms. She did not resist. She just buried her face in my shoulder and cried like she used to when she was little and the world felt too big. I held her and cried too, for the years we had lost, for the trust we had broken, for the scared 16-year-old girl in my arms who needed her mother. I've got you, I whispered. I've got you. We sat on those steps for a long time, holding each other in the darkness. Eventually, we went inside. I made tea, and we sat at the kitchen table like we used to when she was younger. Tell me about Tyler, I said. She looked surprised. You want to know? Yes. Everything, if you want to tell me. So she told me about how they had met at a party, how he was kind and funny and made her feel seen, how they had been together for 6 months, and she had been terrified to tell me because she knew I would disapprove. I listened, really listened, and she was right. I would have disapproved, would have found a dozen reasons why he was not right for her. But sitting there, listening to her talk about him, I realized that my approval was not the point. She was not asking for my permission to live her life. She was asking for my support. Does he know? I asked when she finished. I told him today. He's scared too, but he said he'll support whatever I decide. That's good. I don't know what to decide. Everyone says I should have an abortion, that it's the smart choice, but I don't know if I can do that. Then don't. She looked at me, surprised. You think I should keep it? I think you should do what feels right for you, not what anyone else thinks you should do, not even me. But what if I'm not ready? What if I can't do this? Then we'll figure it out. There are other options, adoption. Or if you decide to keep the baby, I'll help you. We'll make it work. Really? Really? I'm not going anywhere. She reached across the table and took my hand. I'm sorry for what I said, about you not being my mother. You were angry. You had every right to be. Still, I didn't mean it. I know. We talked for hours that night, about everything, her fears, her hopes, her dreams for the future that now felt so uncertain. And I listened, not to fix or advise or judge, just to listen. When she finally went to bed, I stayed up, sitting at the kitchen table, thinking. I had almost lost her. Not to a pregnancy or a mistake or a bad choice. I had almost lost her because I had stopped being the person she could come to. I pulled out my phone and started typing a note to myself. A reminder. Not to be perfect. Not to have all the answers. Just to be present. To listen. To love without conditions. Over the next few weeks, Lily and I talked a lot. About what she wanted. About her fears. About practical matters like doctor's appointments and how to tell her school. She decided to keep the baby. It was not an easy decision, and she changed her mind a dozen times before she finally felt sure. But I supported her, no matter which way she leaned. Tyler came to the house to meet me. He was nervous, stumbling over his words, clearly terrified I would hate him. He was 17, a senior at a different high school. He worked part-time at a grocery store and wanted to go to community college. He was not what I would have chosen for my daughter, but he was kind to her. He held her hand. He talked about taking responsibility, about being there for her and the baby. That was enough. The hardest part was watching Lily navigate the judgment. Her friends, some of them, pulled away. People at school whispered. She came home crying more than once, and all I could do was hold her and tell her that other people's opinions did not define her worth. "I hate this," she said one evening, curled up on the couch with her head in my lap. "I hate that everyone looks at me like I'm a failure." "You're not a failure," I said, stroking her hair. "You're human. You made a choice that some people don't agree with, but it was your choice to make. Do you think I made the wrong one? I think you made the choice that felt right for you, and that's all that matters." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you regret it, having me when you were young?" "Never, not for a single second. You were the best thing that ever happened to me." Even though it was hard? Even though it was hard. I learned during those months how to be a different kind of mother. Not the one who had all the answers, not the one who swooped in to fix everything, but the one who showed up, who listened, who loved without trying to control. It was harder than I expected. I had to bite my tongue 100 times, had to let her make decisions I did not agree with, had to watch her struggle without stepping in to save her. But I also got to see her grow, see her become stronger, more confident, more sure of herself. She finished her junior year, her belly growing bigger as the weeks passed. Some teachers were supportive, others were not. But she kept going, kept showing up, kept doing the work. I was so proud of her. The baby came in late July. A girl, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Perfect. Lily named her Grace. I held my granddaughter in the hospital, this tiny, beautiful person, and I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Hope. Lily was exhausted, scared, overwhelmed, but she was also determined. She made Tyler take parenting classes with her. She researched everything. She set up a schedule for feedings and naps and doctor's appointments. She was not perfect. She made mistakes. She cried from exhaustion. She doubted herself constantly, but she was trying. And that was enough. I helped when she asked for help. I watched Grace when Lily needed to sleep or study or just breathe. But I did not take over. I did not try to do it for her. This was her journey. I was just there to support her. One evening, a few weeks after Grace was born, Lily came into the kitchen where I was making dinner. "Mom?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for not giving up on me." I turned to face her. She was holding Grace, rocking her gently, and she looked tired but happy. "I could never give up on you," I said. "You're my daughter." "I know, but I also know I made it really hard, and I'm sorry." "You don't have to apologize." "Yes, I do. For pushing you away, for not trusting you, for saying those things. We both made mistakes. What matters is that we're here now." She nodded, looking down at Grace. "I want to be a good mom. Like you. You already are?" "Really?" "Really. You show up. You try. You love her. That's all you need." She smiled, and it was the first real smile I had seen from her in months. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, I sat alone in the living room, holding Grace. She was sleeping, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. I thought about the journey we had been on, the mistakes I had made, the ways I had failed, the ways I had, maybe, succeeded. Being a mother was not about being perfect. It was not about having all the answers or always knowing what to do. It was about showing up, about loving even when it was hard, about letting go without letting go completely. I looked down at Grace, this new life, this second chance, and I made a promise. I would be better, not perfect, but better. I would listen more, judge less, trust more, control less. I would let Lily be the mother she needed to be, and I would be the grandmother Grace needed me to be. And most importantly, I would remember that love is not about holding on. It is about holding space, being present, being constant, being there even when everything else changes. Lily came into the room, rubbing her eyes. "Is she okay?" "She's perfect," I said, handing Grace to her. Lily sat beside me on the couch, and we sat there together, 3 generations, in the quiet of the night. "Mom?" Lily said softly. "Yeah? I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart, so much." And in that moment, everything that had been broken felt just a little bit whole again. Not fixed, not perfect, but whole. And that was enough.